Good morning, happy Friday. I thought I would try this from the car this morning. So yeah, let's just jump right in. These are books that I have finished thus far in May. I'm doing really well. So first up, I finished Ghost Wall. I don't have that one to show you, but you all know Ghost Wall. Everybody knows Ghost Wall at this point, so we won't dwell on it. I really enjoyed it, about 90% of it. It's very, I like the historical aspect. I loved hearing about those early people that lived in Britain and the girls in the story and whatnot. Really enjoyed it. The last little sliver, probably less than 10%, I wasn't sold on. I feel like the book needs to be longer to develop the characters a little bit more to make the ending make sense, or shorter, more of a short story. It just, I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but I felt like if the dad had done what happened, I would totally buy that, because that storyline was laid out for him to have done that. It made sense. But the professor, not so much. He just had a much more benign character in the story, and as an educator, I didn't see him going down that route. And then that none of the other students would have, yeah. Anyway, so there's that. I also have finished A River in Egypt with Sean, the book maniac, and we have our chat up. I finished my final one of that big middle grades in Verse Hall, A Time to Dance by Padma Venkatraman, and this was really good. I wasn't sure the first few pages if I was going to love it, but then I really did. This is so many good things in here. It's a girl who is a very competitive dancer, and she's in an accident and loses below the knee of her right leg, and dance is her life and the thing that she really has a passion for. So she ends up getting in a program where she gets a really high-end prosthetic and gets back into dancing just in a slightly different way. And it's just, it talks about young infatuation as a teenager, that first real infatuation, that first real love interest. It dabbles in a lot in dating in the Indian culture and different religious and cultural aspects of life there, and not just one religion. There's brief mentions of a couple more. So it's really a fascinating read culturally. I highly suggest it for that. And a very satisfying storyline socially as well. This is a good book for all that stuff. Then I finished Cat Person by Xiao Kim. This was a total impulse buy for me. Kind of like when you're in the checkout line at Target and they've got something tasty or cute and it jumps in your cart without, it's kind of like the dollar spot actually at Target. But anyway, I loved the first few pages. Let's see. They're not numbered, but this many of the pages were about the cat, and she knows cats. She's a cat lover. You could totally tell. So I loved that. But then I didn't realize the rest of it was more slice of life, and it was cute, but it wasn't as good. So yeah. So that's that. It was super cute, and then it was just okay, unfortunately. If it had been cats the whole time, it would have been fabulous. Then I finally finished Ceremony by Leslie Marmon Silko. This is the story of a Native American coming back after World War II and with PTSD. And I thought it was going to be more about him coming back from World War II. But it touched more on, it was really interesting perspective of how the Native Americans were embraced when they were in their uniform, but then when the war, why can't I say war today? When the war was over and they came home, then they were treated again like second-class citizens. So, yeah, it was a really good, enlightening perspective, I would say. This is very much told in a dreamscape atmosphere, so it's hard to follow. She dabbles in several different storylines. There's when they're at war, there's when they are back from war, there are flashbacks to different moments in his youth, and you never know where she's jumped to until you've read a paragraph or two and kind of figure it out. Her writing on a sentence and paragraph level at times is stunning. It's deeply layered and nuanced with themes and metaphor, and it has an almost Steinbeck quality to it. However, her narrative, her story arc is just not there. You have a hard time figuring out what the story really is, and when you're done and you see what the story was, it's not all that impressive. So I could totally see people loving this book if it fits their style of what they love. For me, I enjoyed the process of reading it, and there were moments like with the medicine man that was a hoarder. I just love that story. There are little vignettes in it that are really neat, but overall, she really just struggled with the story arc, and that's why it didn't work for me completely. And then we have Jenny Han, Always and Forever, Laura Jean. This is the third in the trilogy, and this one I am just delighted. This is a teen romance trilogy. It's a complete arc. They're not like spin-off stories. They're all about the same couple. And it's three sisters of Korean American. Their dad is a white and their mom is a Korean second generation who passed away when the youngest daughter was 2. So it's a single dad raising the girls, and they're just delightful. They're about, you know, the central couple, but the whole family is involved, and friends, and they're just charming. This one is very slice of life all the way through, so it's a little bit slower paced, but then the end, oh, it got me. It got me good. So these are really, if you want something a little lighter, is kind of a break from heavier things, that's a really great place to go. Unfortunately, I read those in the wrong sequence. I just finished Lucky Boy yesterday, and oh my goodness, Shanti Sekaran took my heart, ripped it from my chest, threw it on the ground, stomped on it, and left it there in the dirt. She just left it there. So this book is about a girl. She's 18, trying to enter the United States without documentation. She's successful initially in that. So it's about her journey to get across the border and things that happen to her, and spoiler alert, there's some really bad things that happen. Really bad. And then there is another storyline with second generation Indian couple who are trying to get pregnant and having a really tough time and decide to adopt, and then decide to adopt through the foster care system. So you can see where these two stories might collide eventually. So yeah. Her writing, there are a few little itsy bitsy teeny weeny yellow polka dot bikini. My dad used to love that song. No, I'm distracted. There are a few minor things, minuscule blips for me, but overall, her writing, the way she could string a couple of thoughts together to paint a picture that was vivid and powerful and just ever so slightly unexpected, so you really looked at something in a new way with new eyes. Oh, I thought her writing was gorgeous. And if you want a book where you are emotionally invested in the characters, this is the one. It is so good. Rishi and Kavya and Soli and Nacho, your heart is just like, they're real and you want happiness for them. And then even some of the minor characters as well. There's a scene with the father at the end that is just so beautiful. So many great things about this book, talking about society and social issues. Oh, this book is so good. However, be prepared to have your heart broken and not mended. Find yourself some fluff to make you feel better when it's over. Jenny Han has another trilogy that she wrote before this one that has a really excellent rating, so I'm totally going to pick it up. Anyway, that's my Friday reads for this week. Thanks so much for watching, and I will be back soon. Bye.